So it's finally here, something the entire player base has been clamouring for, and that is the Awakenings. As of May 29th, we're finally going to get Awakenings on Xbox. Now I say finally as if we've been waiting years for this to come. The reality is it's come incredibly quickly. For PC players it seems like a little bit of a drag, but for those new to Xbox, the game is going to considerably change on May 29th. And that's because the Awakenings are here. Now in this video we're going to look at things that you want to take into consideration while you're getting ready for Awakenings to launch. So first and foremost, your class is going to change completely at 56. Although some classes do use their pre-Awakening skill set a lot more than others, the majority of us are going to spend a lot of time in this Awakened form, especially in terms of grinding. It's definitely something that you might want to consider, and if you haven't already, then I'd definitely suggest taking a look at how your class plays post-Awakening. This can be a deal changer for a lot of people. If you're already in love with your class and how it plays, so for example warriors sitting back with their guard, the fact that you're going to get a greatsword and become a lot more offensive in your ability to play could be a little bit of an upset for you. That being said though, the Awakenings improve all of the classes. They pretty much make every class more viable in things that they're normally quite weak at. There are some exceptions, however most people are going to be happy with the changes. So definitely take a look at that ahead of time. Okay, so your skill points are going to be hugely significant. Now this is ripped straight from the Sorc Discord. This is just purely to give you an example of what you can look at for an expected kind of skill point spend. Now take into account the fact that we don't know for sure if we are or aren't getting Rabums. Chances are we just aren't getting them yet. However, the skill point numbers are still roughly correct. So if you don't already have these kind of numbers, you're really going to want to look to do so. If you're at level 60 and you have 981 skill points on a sorceress, for example, you can get a reasonably good build. Anything above this is going to help you. Start grinding skill points now, especially if you're not going to hit that level 60 box. If you're not going to hit the level 60 box, don't worry about grinding experience. Go to somewhere that's going to get you a decent amount of skill point experience rather than getting you combat experience. I really can't stress the importance enough of having the skill points ready for when you hit those level 60 and level 61 points. Essentially what you want to be able to do is max out your Awakening skills as soon as possible. This tends to happen around level 60. That's when you're going to have unlocked pretty much everything that you need to unlock. From there it's a case of balancing your skill build. And the skill points are going to be your hugest limiting factor. Now the best thing about skill points is, unlike an enhancing gear, this time investment is guaranteed 100% to pay off. There is no RNG involved. Simply having more skill points to invest in your skills as you hit these levels is going to give you a return on your time investment. Hands down, going to be the best thing you can do leading up to the Awakening patch is to make sure you have enough skill points ready to go. With that in mind, we're fully expecting a skill reset. It would be daft of them not to. We'll either get a free skill reset or we will get one in the loyalty shop hugely discounted down to like 1 loyalty like we've got at the moment. So don't worry too much about resetting things ahead of time. You're going to have the chance to do so on the patch day. Okay, so with Awakening comes a new weapon. Now in the Sorceress case, this is going to be the Scythe. And what you're looking at on screen is the Dandelion Scythe. This is the boss drop version and the best possible scythe you can get in the game. We don't know just yet if Kyranda is going to be available, which means we don't know if we're going to be able to get Dandelion straight away. It could be a little bit of time before we get this, however I would fully expect it to be put in game. We already have all of the other boss gear, we've got Kutum, we've got access to Zarka. It makes sense for us to also get access to the Dandelion Scythe from Kyranda. If we don't though, or if you just don't have the time to get to this boss, what I would suggest doing is looking to enhance a blue Awakening weapon. These are still really solid versions. Think Laverto, only much more important. And the reason for this is because of how the stats translate into your Awakening. This is something I'm going to go over in a moment. But before we touch on that, like I said, you're going to want to be able to enhance this as soon as possible. That means stocking up on your memory fragments, it means stocking up on your sharp shards so that you're able to enhance your weapon as soon as possible. Unlike the Zarka weapon, getting this to Tet is going to be paramount. You want to aim to get this weapon to Tet as soon as possible. Even if you don't have the Dandy and you only have the blue version, you still want to get it to Tet as soon as possible. Do not listen to anybody that tells you to hold off on your Awakening weapon until you get a Dandy drop. Chances are you're just not going to see one quickly. They're going to be a lot harder to pick up than these Zarka weapons because people are just going to be sticking to these classes moving forwards. People are on their mains, they're very unlikely to reroll from the Awakening side of things, and Dandelion weapons are just not going to be readily available. Hopefully though, we do get Kuranda and people do start to get these pretty quickly. Okay, so if you're not really fussed on maths and you don't care about the intricacies of how the AP is worked out, you can pretty much switch off now. However, for those that are interested, this TLDR is ripped straight from an incredibly long testing post from Black Desert. This is something I've read through previously and it's really interesting to have a look at. However, this message is pretty much going to give you all the information you need. So we're going to look at how Awakening damage is calculated, because it isn't a case of adding your main hand AP to your Awakening AP plus all of your accessories and hidden AP, and then also your bonuses from your AP brackets together, mashing it in one and throwing it through a modifier on your Awakening skills. That would be too simple. So Black Desert does things a little bit differently. So let's have a look at that now. So your Awakening damage is made up of 30% of your AP from your main hand weapon. That's why people have always said that Laverto isn't necessarily a trap, because once you get to Awakening, 30% of your AP is going to transfer across. Now Laverto has the same top end AP as the Zarka, so you're still going to get the same 30% transferred across. What you do though is you take the AP from your main hand and you add 70% of the AP from your Awakening weapon. Then you also add that from your accessories and your crystals. All of that together will give a full 100%. Seems a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. Now add to the fact that the reason Zarka is better is because accuracy and monster damage transfers across at 100%. It's a 1-for-1 transfer, which means you get all of the bonus from that. So Zarka has a significant increase in the terms of the accuracy and the monster damage, which is why it becomes a better weapon. However, if you do have Laverto, you're not going to miss out purely from an AP standpoint. So to find your Awakening damage gear score, you take 30% of your sheet main hand AP and 70% of your sheet Awakening AP. Then you add 100% of any hidden AP you have. So things like your guild buffs, your crystals, your set bonuses, all of that hidden fun stuff that Black Desert has, and that's going to give you your overall Awakening AP. Don't forget to factor into this things like your bonus from your hidden brackets as well. But overall, that's something that you need to be aware of, is that your main hand contributes only 30% of the AP to your Awakening. So upgrading your Awakening weapon is your priority. It's going to give you a whole lot more damage than upgrading your current Zarka, Laverto, or whatever main hand you have. So I guess the take-home message from me is to make sure that up until the Awakening release date, you're predominantly looking to gather materials, save silver, and get prepared for your Awakening weapon. This is going to be the biggest increase. You want your skill points to be there, you want your Awakening weapon to be Tri or Tet as soon as physically possible, and you want to be ready to go as soon as Awakenings hit. I will have a lot more information around Sorc leading up to the Awakenings. I'm going to cover the skill builds, I'm going to cover how many skill points you need. We're going to look at my current crystal setup and a couple of other things. If you do have any questions, guys, please leave them in the comments section. If you are new to the channel, please hit the channel up with a subscribe. I really appreciate the fact that we're over 3k subs in under 3 months. This has been absolutely huge. I've been sick this week, so content's been a little bit slow, but trust me, everything's going to start to pick up as soon as Awakening hits. Thanks for watching, guys.